deferral means to an already strained relationship between Africa and the International Criminal Court?
Well, the first thing that the deferral means is that the case will have to continue. Both two cases will have to continue. But as far as the strained relationship between the UN Security Council and the AU is concerned, I think it's highly likely that going forward, this will be something that will be a sticking point, especially as it comes to negotiations around other situations in other continents and other countries.
Now, there has been an outcry by many African countries that the ICC doesn't take Africa seriously and that it's only targeting African leaders. Is Africa justified in coming to such a conclusion?
Well, in terms of it saying that Africa is being targeted or African leaders are being targeted, I think that is a statement that does not take into consideration the fact that the people that are charged for serious crimes, and the victims that the crimes have been committed against are themselves Africans. The issue is whether the ICC should also be focusing on cases outside of the continent. And that is where the problem is, because a lot of the cases are actually not, even in terms of preliminary examinations or actual investigations, they are predominantly on the African continent. And it does give the image that the ICC is focusing solely on Africa, but that is not entirely the case.
On the other side, there are some who believe that Kenyatta and Ruto should own up to their actions because a lot of people died during the post-2007 election violence.
That is indeed true. If the president of Kenya and his deputy president are indeed innocent, they would have to prove themselves before a court, as would any accused. And that essentially is the crux of it, that no one has actually said yet that they're guilty of these crimes, but they must prove their innocence in court.
Now, for a while now, Africa has also called for African solutions for African problems. Do you think that Africa is capable of finding its own solutions for its own problems?
I think individual African countries have already begun processes to enable themselves to be able to prosecute international crimes. South Africa, for example, has a priority crimes litigation unit that works together with the Hawks to investigate as well as prosecute priority crimes that include the Rome Statute crimes. Countries like Uganda also have an international crimes division that is tasked with prosecuting international crimes as well as other priority crimes as identified in Uganda. It's not that African solutions cannot exist or that they should not be encouraged. In fact, they should be. The issue is where countries do not have the ability to prosecute these crimes, or on the flip side are unwilling to prosecute these crimes, there should be a recourse to justice, and that is where the International Criminal Court comes in.
Now, the UN Security Council has voted against the request by the African Union to really defer these crimes. What do you think, or the trial rather, what do you think will happen now?
Well, Kenya has said that it will take its fight to the Assembly of States Parties of the Rome Statute. The meeting starts this week and ends next week. And they've said that they want to push forward certain proposals that may facilitate the deferral of their case. That is indeed the position that countries like the United Kingdom were rooting for, that instead of approaching the UN Security Council for a deferral, Kenya, together with African Union as well as other African countries, should go through the Rome Statute system. They should approach the Assembly of States Parties and have an open and frank discussion around the issues concerning Kenya, but also concerning other countries that are member states to the Rome Statute.
And do you think that African countries will now give way to the threat in terms of walking out of the ICC?
I don't think that is an option for a lot of countries at the moment. As much as a regional grouping, the African Union may say African countries should withdraw, there are a number of African countries that still do support the work of the International Criminal Court. Notably, countries in Francophone West Africa have indicated that they do support the work of the International Criminal Court, and they will continue to do so. countries like South Africa that have been party to the Rome Statute since its inception would require a parliamentary majority in order for them to withdraw from an international instrument such as the Rome Statute. And even if they were to do so, they are bound by the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. That essentially means that even when you withdraw from a statute, you are still bound by the terms of the statute insofar as any obligations that were there at the time you were a member to that statute. So I don't think it's likely that a lot of countries will withdraw. There might be some that do, but doing so will actually take away their power in terms of the numbers they have as member states to the Rome Statute. At the moment, there are 34 African countries that are party to the Rome Statute, making it the largest regional bloc that is party to the Rome Statute. They can use that to their benefit, and they can actually propose amendments, push for resolutions, and potentially be able to get support from other member states if they go that way.
Ottalia, thank you so much for your time. That was researcher in transnational threats and international crime division at the Institute for Security Studies, Ottalia Maunganidze. Now,